boy Ango, and today we are doing our live review show for AEW Dynamite. I am extremely excited about this episode. We had a lot of good stuff tonight on AEW Dynamite. This live stream is brought to you by my music service, streammusic.gg. If you guys are a content creator, or maybe you're making Instagram videos or whatever, maybe YouTube videos, live streams, all the music in this live stream is actually provided by streammusic.gg, which is my new music service, completely free for you to use with no risk. What a wonderful episode of AEW Dynamite. We're going to go through the entire card, the entire show. A lot of good. Some very small things I might nitpick here and there, but for the most part, this was an outstanding episode. The best way to describe it would be that this particular episode of AEW Dynamite was a good episode, but a filler episode. Nothing major necessarily happening. Not a big deal. Because again, you know, we're waiting to get to AEW Revolution. So as time goes on, you're going to have episodes like this. A couple celebrity appearances. Sabrina the Teenage Witch was there in the crowd. We also saw John Kreese from Cobra Kai. So that was pretty cool. But guys, the real question today is, can AEW survive without Cody Rhodes? Because this was the first episode in the post-Cody Rhodes era of AEW. So for me personally, that is the question I'm going to lead with in today's episode. And again, I want to say thank you guys for stopping by. If you guys would like to support the channel, you could become a member starting at $4.99 a month. Starting in March, we'll be doing some new content where you can actually get early content. Also, we have VIP access for our Discord service, for the server itself. Lots of perks. You could also become VIP. And when you actually become a member of this channel, you get an icon next to your name. So if you guys want to support the channel, go ahead and become a member. Also, I gotta just want to jump into this, man. CM Punk opened the show. Back when AEW first started, they always jumped into the action. This is 2 weeks in a row where I've noticed that AEW has immediately started off with a promo. And it was interesting. So CM Punk sitting down in the middle of the ring, delivering this promo, basically pulls out a dog collar. He calls out MJF. MJF is absolutely speechless. And he doesn't talk. In fact, he just leaves. This shows MJF is weak. This shows that MJF is scared. This shows that MJF is in a situation right now as it stands in AEW. Currently speaking, MJF is probably going to lose this match. That's my guess. With him showing that he's scared, I think they're trying to show that he's vulnerable and whatnot. He's very fearful of this match. Really good promo. CM Punk, as you guys know, is a great promo. I don't know if dog collar match is the match I would go with. I understand that they're trying to play it a little bit with history and whatnot. But as a fan of CM Punk, I hope this feud ends at Revolution. And I think that would be the perfect time to make the decision to have Wardlow defeat MJF. Quite honestly, I think that is incredibly important to me as a fan. Have Wardlow turn on him, cost him the match, give CM Punk the win, and let's move on. I also want to see CM Punk become a heel. That is also very, very important for me as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. You know, CM Punk turning heel is going to be a massive deal, in my opinion. Also, very interestingly enough, there was a mention of Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes was mentioned a couple times today during the show. More specifically, they mentioned Cody Rhodes and they mentioned Brody Lee because they are the only two wrestlers to have a dog collar match in AEW history. As you guys know, throughout the early stages of the pandemic, or before the pandemic era, that's when we saw Cody Rhodes and Brody Lee have that incredible match. Again, I'm not sure if a dog collar match is the match type I would have gone with, but at the end of the day, I'm excited for this match. I'm excited for this feud to end. Let's get the ball rolling with CM Punk turning heel. But again, a great start for AEW. It definitely kept me hooked in. Then we get Bryan versus Lee Moriarty. Now, going into the show, I actually thought this match was going to be better than what it was. And I'm not hating on the match. I'm not saying it was a bad match. I just think we had two really, really good matches on this show that basically made me forget about Bryan Danielson and Lee Moriarty. Again, this is for a specific type of audience. This is a very good match for technical skills, back and forth. Lee Moriarty getting in some really good spots. Bryan Danielson doing a fantastic job in this match. You could tell Bryan Danielson is having a lot of fun, specifically with Lee Moriarty, which is just really cool. And again, it made me really excited about what we were seeing firsthand. Bryan wins the match. It's not that long of a match, but after the match, Bryan comes out or grabs the mic and he calls out Jon Moxley. And what I really love here is we're finally starting to get into the storytelling of them starting a faction, which to me, I think is absolutely incredibly important. Because I think, first of all, I love factions, but I think for Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley to start a faction, it's going to really help AEW in terms of their younger talent. So what's really cool is Jon Moxley actually comes out. Jon Moxley responds and he says, I'm not going to tell you no, and I'm not going to say yes. But before I could join forces with somebody, I don't stand side by side with anyone until I bleed with them first. And that right there was a really, really great line for this promo. This post-match segment kind of took long. I'm not even going to lie. It kind of did. But I feel like it accomplished something. And that to me, you know what? It took a little bit of time to do it, but they accomplished it. And I'm all about it. So quite honestly, I really actually enjoyed this. And I think what they're really leading to is a singles match for AEW Revolution, which if that's the case, totally cool. I think Bryan and you know, Jon Moxley going at each other at Revolution's cool. I don't really know how you decide who wins or who loses. My belief is that whoever ends up winning or losing, it doesn't matter. I do think the long-term plan is to create this faction. So I'm all about it. I think this was a really, really good match. But better yet, I think the post-match made a lot of sense. And I think Lee Moriarty needs a spot in this faction. Lee Moriarty, Daniel Garcia, Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson. Give me one more name to that list, and I think you have a really, really good faction filled with a very nice young crop of talent. But again, that line was really significant. I don't stand side by side with anyone until I bleed with them first. So you know damn well these guys are going to go at it. The cuffs are off. This is no limitations that we might expect from WWE. So just kind of keep that in mind. This should be a really good match at Revolution. Not officially announced, but all signs are pointing to a singles match at Revolution. Keep in mind, we didn't have a Keith Lee match tonight, but we did get a backstage promo vignette video package. He talks about the ladder match for Revolution, and he makes a claim. He wants gold, and specifically Keith Lee is looking for the ladder match to win the ladder match so that way he can go for the TNT Championship belt. Keith Lee wants the TNT belt. We're going to talk about the TNT title picture because the main event was the TNT Championship match. I think Keith Lee should be one of the guys to hold the TNT Championship, but there is one little problem, and we'll discuss that in a little bit. The next thing that we get is Wardlow versus Max Caster. Max comes out. He does his little entrance, you know, spitting a freestyle. He does not take any shots or make any references to Cody. A lot of people thought that might be something that they would do. I still believe that Cody Rhodes leaving AEW is not a work. I 100% believe it is not a work. Max doesn't diss Cody. He doesn't mention it. He doesn't mention Brady Rhodes. During this match, commentary mentioned Cody again for whatever reason. Wardlow dominates the match. He gets the Symphony Powerbomb, which was cool. I mean, they did exactly what they needed to do. And look, man, Wardlow, Shawn Spears, it's good stuff. I'm waiting for that Wardlow turn. They've done a good job of building Wardlow up. They've made Wardlow seem like a credible threat in AEW. This guy needs to turn on MJF. They need to give Wardlow the opportunity to really just go off because, quite honestly, he's just doing a fantastic job. Max Caster, you know, this is where I nitpick a little bit. I don't really care for the Acclaimed. And I'm just being honest here. I think there is a lot more potential in Anthony Bowen as a singles guy. I think Anthony Bowen long-term has a huge upside as a single star. He has the look. He has literally everything that like pro wrestling would typically like out of a mainstream star. I think he can handle media very well. He is very presentable in the public eye, and that is something that I think people should start paying attention to. I do eventually want to see them break away. I'm not sure if we'll ever see them win the tag team title belts, but I do think Anthony Bowen should leave at some point and do a singles run. Somebody within a year or two, I think, could be a really good TNT champion, somebody that could even eventually become a world champion. I also think, truth be told, I even think Anthony Bowen could be a really good signing for WWE because he fits a lot of what WWE is looking for as well. Just something that I am mentioning. I do think Anthony Bowen is better of the two, and it sucks that this match was kind of short. It would have been cool to see a little bit more out of it, but again, it was a good match. We get a backstage segment. We see John Kreese, aka Martin Kove, from Cobra Kai, or maybe you know it as the Karate Kid. This was not a crossover I expected whatsoever, but John Kreese is the new sensei for Britt Baker. Little bit of celebrity involvement. If you guys watch my channel, you know that I typically enjoy celebrity involvement in wrestling. Nothing really crazy here. He just, basically gives her some advice. Next thing that we get is Hangman Page segment. Early on in this segment, Adam Cole walks in to the ring. He's acting all respectful, all cool, yet he's being somewhat cocky towards Hangman Page. I'm not going to talk about specifics. Adam Cole wants to be the next AEW World Champion. Adam Page is willing to fight him anytime. Adam Cole goes to shake his hand. He walks out of the ring. As he's walking towards the ramp, he gets a little smirk. Next thing you know, Undisputed Era, Red Dragon, they attack Hangman Page. No big deal. Adam Cole goes on to attack him as well. And then Dark Order make the save. Preston Vance, number 10, he clears the ring and the security guards. This is going to be interesting. It is very clear that Hangman Page versus Adam Cole is the next big feud for the World Championship. Now, this is where I have to nitpick a little bit. Probably not the most popular opinion, but quite honestly, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't mention it. When it comes to this segment or this championship thing, I think Adam Cole and Hangman Page should be presented as a lot bigger of a deal than it is. And unfortunately, it hasn't been. So I'm hoping as time goes on, they do present it in a bigger fashion because it would be really, really important. Zachary, thank you for your super chat. I will read your super chats at the end of the show, by the way, just to keep it a little bit more organized, guys. I will read out your super chats before we get off the show. So thank you. If you guys submit a super chat, just keep that in mind. I will read it and acknowledge it towards the end. But yes, all in all, great segment. I just think they need to present Adam Hangman Page and Adam Cole in a bigger limelight. It was in the middle of the show. That's really, I'm excited about it, but I just wish they made it feel a little bit bigger because there's a lot of things happening in AEW right now, and this could feel like a bigger deal, and it's not necessarily presented that way. Small little nitpick, but again, that's just me nitpicking something a little bit. At this point, I was keeping count on AEW's Cody Rhodes tally. One thing I didn't mention earlier in the stream, there was no Cody Rhodes in the intro of AEW Dynamite tonight, so he has been completely pulled from AEW Dynamite. The intro, whatever, there is no Cody Rhodes or Brandy Rhodes. Now, so far in this show, they have mentioned Cody Rhodes 2 times, and they have shown some sort of footage where Cody Rhodes was taking the cutter from Sammy Guevara from the TNT Championship. So food for thought, at the end of this video, or at the end of the stream, we're going to talk about, can AEW survive with Cody Rhodes? But just keep in mind, AEW is not giving him the Chris Benoit treatment where they don't mention him, don't talk about him. I don't know why some people think AEW would actually do that. That's ridiculous, but I have to mention that. Next, we get Inner Circle versus Proud and Powerful. They're not being referred to as Proud and Powerful anymore in AEW. I'm not sure as to why. Again, it's a nitpicky thing, but I don't like the idea of Santana and Ortiz just being simply known as Santana and Ortiz. Nonetheless, Eddie Kingston has returned. Really cool return. I really absolutely love this. Santana hits the discus lariat and pins Jericho for the win. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe Ortiz hit Jericho with brass knuckles or something. Jericho got hit, and then the discus lariat came, and the pin was 1, 2, 3. So not the most clean victory, but at the same time, too, this was a really, really good match. definitely a match that I think people slept on. Jack Swagger and Chris Jericho look to be in really, really good shape. You know, at the end of the day, when I watch this, I'm really intrigued by the storyline. But again, I want to just hurry it up. I want to hurry it up a little bit. Let's get done with it. Let's get Chris Jericho doing something a little bit more important. Let's get Proud and Powerful in a tag team division. Let's get them in a match for the tag team championship belts. Because again, I said I was very happy with the show. But at some point in the show, we got a backstage segment of Jurassic Express. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of over that whole shtick. Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy, I mean, it was cool, the chase and everything. But now that they've been champions, I don't feel like the tag team division has been that special. And I think Proud and Powerful can help get them there. So that's what I want to see very, very soon. Next, guys, we get Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez in a match. And just really cool stuff, man. Honestly, I want to say this is where AEW really started to pick up tonight. So House of Black, Rosa and Martinez have this no DQ match. Just a ton of great spots back and forth. Thunder Rosa wins. And this match, when I tell you guys it had amazing moments, it really did. It wasn't the longest match. It wasn't the shortest match. The pacing was really, really good. But most importantly, these women really went back and forth. This could arguably be match of the night. I understand that some people might say Sammy and Darby could be match of the night. I don't think you're wrong if you say that this match was match of the night. Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez, clearly being veterans that they are, absolutely dominated it. This match had a lot of great moments back and forth. But then what's really cool is at the end of this match, you get Thunder Rosa, who is then... you get Thunder Rosa, who is, let's see. Give me 1 second. So you get Thunder Rosa, who goes and shows some respect for Mercedes Martinez. Hopefully I fixed the audio. Sorry about that, guys. We get Mercedes Martinez and Thunder Rosa showing some respect. Basically what ends up happening is that... Okay, a lot of people are complaining about the music. Let's see if that's fixed now. Is it fixed now? It should be fixed. I put it to... Yeah, it should be fixed now. Sorry about this. So yeah, we get a sign of respect between the two, Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez. Jamie Hayter and everybody comes out, and then basically what ends up happening is Jamie Hayter attacks Mercedes Martinez. Or I'm sorry, she attacks Thunder Rosa. And then everybody is attacking Thunder Rosa. They give the pipe to Mercedes Martinez. And Mercedes Martinez at this point, instead of turning on Thunder Rosa, she starts getting beat up by Jamie Hayter. So now it is very clear that Mercedes Martinez is in a situation where she's going to be a babyface. I think it's going to be Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez versus Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. I'm not really sure what to expect out of this. The post-match kind of sets up, you know, the story that Thunder Rosa is probably going to be the next one to take the women's championship from Britt Baker, which is completely fine. I think also most importantly in this scenario, right, I think most importantly we need to keep this women's division fresh, and I'm not sure if Mercedes Martinez being the babyface will actually help with that, but I'm willing to give it a chance because this match was super sick. So at the end of the day, it was really, really cool. We'll kind of see what happens as time goes on. But, yeah, I mean, it accomplished what it needed to accomplish, and the match was fantastic. The next thing that we get is the House of Black backstage segment vignette. At the end of it, we saw a mystery person. Kind of looked like Buddy Matthews. It looks like Buddy Murphy is joining the House of Black. I'll actually have more information on this specifically in tomorrow's video. But... yes, this was a really good vignette, and yes, I'm really happy with what they're doing with House of Black. They announced for next week that it's going to be House of Black versus Penta and Pac, and that's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. So I'm not really sure what to expect as time goes on, but keep that in mind. You know, storytelling at its finest. The ball is in the court of Malachi Black. So very, very interesting stuff. Really good stuff. I'm pretty happy with it. Next, we get Sammy versus Darby Allin. And I'm really excited about this, man. I got to be completely honest with you guys. We get this is, again, this could potentially be match of the night. But we get Sammy versus Darby Allin. In comparison to Rosa and Martinez, this is another match that just had a lot of great moments back and forth. A lot of great spots back and forth. Two baby faces going at it. More specifically, there was a really, really cool Spanish fly off of the top rope, off the turnbuckle. That was really cool. So I was really excited about that. In this match, basically the ending is pretty simple. Andrade interferes and costs Darby the match. Sammy Guevara hits the GTH. He hits the go to hell. And then Matt Hardy ends up coming up after the match and starts beating up Darby. Sammy comes to rescue. I'm not really sure what they're doing here because Andrade is seen at the end of the show with the two TNT Championship belts, which, by the way, Sammy's got to stop that. Wearing both belts is kind of stupid in my opinion, but Andrade is holding this belt. He's holding these belts. He looks good with those belts. Did I say Buddy Black? Sorry, guys. Buddy Black, Aleister Black, Malachi Black. I mean, shit. Sometimes, things happen. But, look, Andrade holding up the belt. He looks like he could be the champion. He carries himself very well, carries himself professionally really well. I do think that Andrade should be the next TNT champion. But then it goes back to what I was saying earlier in this show, that basically what happened here now is that you got Keith Lee, who also wants to be TNT champion. And that's fantastic. But at the end of it all, at the end of the story, I believe that they have a lot of talent who are worthy of this TNT championship, and what should be happening is some of this talent should be going for the world championship. I actually think the TNT championship is far more prestigious and far more entertaining right now than the world championship, and that is a really strange feeling. But as I watched AEW tonight, I can't help but think that the TNT championship picture is much more exciting to me than the future of the world championship. And I hope as time goes on, things change. I hope things get better. But quite honestly, I mean, this is like, okay, Adam Cole could win the world championship. That's cool, but it doesn't feel special right now. It's missing that factor. Whereas I think right now with the TNT championship, you got Andrade getting involved, and then you got Keith Lee who wants to get involved. Plus you got Darby and Sammy having a really, really, really good match. The TNT championship is like the workhorse match. It's the workhorse title, and I think that's really important for AEW. It reminds me a lot of like the old days with the Intercontinental Championship in WWE. And look, like I said, this was a good episode. Sometimes you nitpick things a little bit here and there. It's a good episode. I want to see AEW stay on top, but also at the same time, too, guys, the question here was, can AEW survive without Cody Rhodes? And that is difficult, man. That is difficult, and I want to explain why. I think right now, as it stands, when I watch the show, specifically, we are seeing a transition within the company. Not just with the Cody Rhodes stuff, but I think we are seeing a transition from, look, guys, let's cut the bullshit, right? Let's just shoot straight. AEW used to start off every show with pay-per-view level matches. Now AEW is getting this very strong lead-in from The Big Bang Theory. So what's happening is they're starting off with more entertainment-based stuff. So I'm saying this from a perspective as a fan. This is starting to feel a little bit more like WWE. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm just saying it's starting to be more like WWE. And I think we're starting to see a transition in AEW's type of business model. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I think Cody Rhodes was a really, really big part of AEW. And I don't know what to expect in this post-Cody Rhodes era, to be honest with you. I don't know what to expect. Cody Rhodes was front and center. They don't have a guy who carries himself like Cody Rhodes did. And I hope we get to the point where they do have somebody like that, because I feel like you can notice that Cody Rhodes wasn't there. It's also weird because they didn't really necessarily address the elephant in the room. And that's the crazy part. So, yeah, AEW will, of course, survive without Cody Rhodes. But at the same time, is it going to be the way that you guys expect it? Is it going to be the way that you guys want it? Because I think the IWC, generally, the way they view AEW is that, like, they are not very much like WWE. Like, they are the alternative to WWE. But as I'm watching AEW, I'm seeing a lot of similarities between them and AEW. Or them and WWE. So my point that I'm making is that I think we are seeing a transition. Now, will the IWC, will the internet wrestling community respond well to these changes? That's the real question. Personally speaking, I hope so. I hope you guys respond very well to these transitions, because here's the thing. You guys, and I'm not saying this, I look at my chat, I look at the comments, and I'm just saying, generally speaking, I see a lot of people, they're talking shit about Cody going to WWE, which is fine. Talk shit about Cody going to WWE. That's fine if that's what you genuinely think. But keep in mind that right now we're seeing a transition in AEW, and it might not look like the same company it used to be. Are you willing to accept change? Are you willing to accept change? Because change is necessary. It's necessary. Change is always going to be necessary. The reason why it's going to be necessary when it comes to things like this, I'm going to tell you guys why change is necessary. If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, then you feel like you've seen the same thing over and over and over again. So are you willing to watch the same thing every single time? To be honest with you, I'm not. I'm not willing to see the same shit every single time. I talk about this. This is one of my big complaints with WWE. Can WWE take the same thing that they've done before and make it different? Yeah, sometimes they can, and when they do, it's something I'm willing to watch. It's something I'm willing to enjoy. My point that I'm making is that change is going to happen. It is happening. We are witnessing the change. This is a real test for AEW. This is a real test for Tony Khan, by the way. And if you're not willing to accept change, good luck watching this shit. That's what I'll say. Good luck watching wrestling in general. Because change is happening. And as this change happens, you really have to decide if it's something that you're going to get on board with. Are you patient with it? Because you don't know. Change will not happen like this. The question isn't whether or not should change happen. The question is, are you willing to accept the fact that it's changing? Because it is. I think WWE signing Cody Rhodes is actually a big win for AEW, by the way. That's the funny thing. The fact that nobody really sees it that way is kind of shocking to me, but I genuinely believe WWE bringing in Cody Rhodes is actually a big win for AEW, because people are going to search Cody Rhodes, and they're going to search for Cody Rhodes if they've never been exposed to Cody Rhodes. Maybe they're a young viewer. Maybe they're not familiar with the IWC and the AEW. And they're going to search for Cody Rhodes, and they're going to find out that this man is instrumental in creating one of the biggest competitors WWE has had in 20 years. And if you don't think that is a good thing for AEW, I'm not really sure what I mean, I don't know. But I see this conversation. I see this stuff popping up in the chat. I see it popping up in the comments. I see it popping up in Discord. WWE is going to bury Cody Rhodes. Why do you care? That's my question, is why do you care if he's getting, like, why do you care if Cody is, if he gets buried or not? My question is this. This is the question I'm going to ask, and I want this to be on record on my channel. I want to say this publicly. When it comes to criticism of WWE, we point fingers at Vince McMahon. When it comes to criticism in AEW, we're pointing fingers at Cody Rhodes. Why are we pointing fingers potentially at Tony Khan and the company? This is something I want to find out. At the end of the day, that is something I would like to find out. I think it is incredibly important for people to realize that right now we are in the biggest splash of pro wrestling in a long, long time. When AJ Styles and the Bullet Club joined WWE, it was a pretty big deal. That was pretty big news because it was kind of unexpected. Nobody really expected that. Nobody really expected AJ Styles to go to WWE and actually have a decent career. But then I think this is bigger because at the end of the day, AJ Styles and Bullet Club didn't form New Japan. They didn't form any of these other companies. Cody formed AEW. So yes, again, can AEW survive without Cody Rhodes? Yeah, I do think so. In the long term, time will tell. But again, it just goes back to change. That's the most important thing. We're seeing this change firsthand. Some people are saying this is the end of the honeymoon phase. I don't know. I like this episode of AEW, so I don't see how this is like a bad thing. Maybe next week is different. I don't know. Maybe we watch Rampage and it's different. I'm not sure what to expect. But today's episode was a good episode. All I know is if I'm a 10-year-old kid and I've never seen Cody Rhodes and I go on Google and they say, who is Cody Rhodes? Cody Rhodes co-founded AEW. Maybe Cody Rhodes going to WWE is actually a good thing for AEW. I don't know. That's a really strange thing.